Welcome back to Conversations Unchained.
Hey, I'm Lance.
Hey, I'm Zay. And before we even get kicked off in today's episode, y'all, I want to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to look at our Conversations Unchained Mixed Edition.
Sip.
Yes. So as you guys know, we always create a cocktail for the conversation. And so in today's cocktail is going to be the Gin Fizz. And OMG, I'm telling y'all, this is probably one of Lance's eyes favorite gins, right? Favorite cocktails and gins going on right now. I mean, right, Lance?
Yes. It is the Hendrick's Gin Grand Cabaret. So if you're a Hendrick's Gin drinker or liker, you will enjoy this Grand Cabaret. It's almost a small party in your mouth. It gives you a different gin feel. You still get the gin elements, but it gives you more fruit. You get more fruitful flavors from the Grand Cabaret.
Absolutely. So before we get kicked off, let's go ahead and have a cheers, Lance.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. It's a good conversation.
Mm-hmm. And
Perfect.
now I'm ready to talk.
Yes. What we got cooked up today, Lance?
So today we'll be discussing home ownership, and is it for everyone?
Ooh, a big one. Is it for everyone? Y'all, this is a topic that we feel like is not talked about enough.
Yes.
We feel that a lot of people are unprepared when it comes to really weighing out the pros and cons to whether you want to purchase a home, whether you want to continue renting, and just looking at all those facts. So we took the, Lance and I had sat down prior to the, to the episode and really kind of talked through this one and really wanted to make sure we had some good notes because we want to make sure you guys really open up and think about this. And we also, of course, like always, wanted to ignite the conversation, wanted to unlink another chain in our conversation so that we can start talking through this.
Yes. So let's start out with the pros of home ownership. So I'll kick it off with the first topic of one of the pros of home ownership is building equity. Equity. Let's start there. What is equity? Something that a lot of people may not know, but one of the good things about a home, in most cases, not all cases, is that they appreciate. They don't depreciate like your automobiles in the general sense. And as they appreciate, as you pay down your mortgage, you gain equity in the house. Equity meaning you can do what? What can you do equity with, Zay? Or what can you do with equity?
With the equity in your home, you can always do what they call a home equity line of credit or a home equity loan. You will hear a lot of people say that, majority of the time, and it all depends on the market, y'all, and how the actual rates are doing. But there is points in times within our lifespan that we have seen where, equity lines and equity loans have been extremely cheap.
Yes.
And so people used to maximize on that equity to, purchase rental properties, to purchase, recreational vehicles, or to even purchase other vehicles.
Or to do home improvement.
So there was so many different things that you could utilize that equity. But my biggest key point around equity, y'all, is I want everyone to think about it like a savings account.
Yes.
This is your true savings account, but I want you to think about it also in this other way. It's a savings account that's in the market.
Yes.
So that is, from a banking term, it's non-FDIC insured. It's not insured. It could be up today and down tomorrow, but that's always a risk that you're going to take, but at least it's a plus or a pro that you have in home ownership.
Yep. That's one of the things that a lot of people do when they get into home ownership. You'll hear some people, they want to move into their forever home. I'm one of those people where I'm not really attached to a home because in most cases, I'm looking at them like investment opportunities. I'm looking for them. And when you do your research, and one of the things that you need to take into account when you're purchasing a home is always do your research on the area, on what's coming, the potential economic development plans, if you can get them from the county or the city that you're looking to move into, so that you can understand in the next 5 to 10 years, what is the outlook for your area and potentially your home? What will that be? Because if there's new developments happening, most of the time that means that there's going to be growth in that area, which could potentially shoot your home values up, which in that point you'll gain more equity, and you'll also get more bang for your buck if you were to sell the house.
Absolutely.
Or the home.
I would say another thing that I heard recently, and I think it really stuck with me, is that I heard, there was a conversation with some people, and they said that as a lot of minorities do not look at home ownership from a starter home. Like this, yes, I'm going to move, I'm going to buy this home now. This is where I'm going to start, but this is not really where I'm looking to end. And what happens is they're saying the mindset right now of minorities is that they want to move into their first home is their forever home, which is not bad if you have the ability to do that. But as you guys know, a lot of the times you don't, but you really want to start investing in doing that. So it's good to always think of, home ownership, like Lance said, there's no attachments to it. It's always an investment. At least that's the way we've looked at it over the lifespan. And Lance and I have owned a lot of homes, so we've had the pleasure of really getting involved with them. So,
So, and that's always something that you want to take into account. Hey, if you're looking for your forever home and you're saying, hey, I'm not going to move again, by all means, get you a home. But again, still do your research, because this is where you're planning to spend your forever. So you want to make sure like the things that are happening in the community around you will fit what you're actually looking for now, but then also into the future. Absolutely. And I think that's one piece that a lot of people miss, is that they're looking in the now and not necessarily looking into the future to kind of plan that out as well.
I think if we continue down the pro aspect of it, the other two pros that kind of stick out to me is you have a tax benefit depending on your the tax bracket that you fall into.
They are continuously changing here lately with the government. Keynote, and that's something that you should always keep an eye on what's happening in terms of your home and the tax benefits portion.
Absolutely. And then I would say the other piece is just a stability. And when I say stability, maybe that's not the right word, and Lance can help me out with it. It is more around having the luxury of being able to do whatever you want to your home. You can design it inside whatever you want to do with it. You can hang up pictures all over the place if you want to, because it's yours. Like having that stability of this is mine and I'm able to do it. The other piece that I'll just throw out there, around that one, I think that people never think about or always forget about is HOA communities. And HOA communities say that they have a lot of say depending on the HOA that you're in.
They're semi-governed.
That what they do. So that takes away some of that stability or that freedom, because you can't just do what you want to do in a HOA area. So
I think the stability portion for me is more of like, I have a stable place as long as you're paying your mortgage, right? If the home is not paid for, it's stable, and you have stability as long as you're making your mortgage payments until your debt repayment clear free. In the sense that, like, if you're renting, you never know if you're doing like a landlord type rental, you never know if they're going to sell the property or if they're going to say, hey, you have 60 days to get out. Same with an apartment complex or different things of that sort. Like, there's some elements of instability with those places, whereas a home, if you are owning a home, for me, that provides more home ownership. But one of the things that you said with stability and control for sure is, and I'll take it back to doing your research and determining which type of home is the best fit for you, right? You have single family detached homes, you have townhomes, you have condos, you have co-ops. So you have to do your research to see what's best for you. If you know you're not the type of person to want to pay to do yard work or to get out and do yard work yourself, you're not really concerned about the outside, it may be one of those elements where maybe a townhome or a condo is the best for you because those items are maintained by the property management or management association.
Lance, in all honesty, I think we could probably do a whole episode on that one because y'all, Lance and I have had the luxury, I think, to own all except in a co-op. So we've never owned. We've looked at it, we've considered it, but we've never owned in a co-op. But we've owned in all the other ones, and y'all have our commitment. We will do a video around that one because I think that's a big conversation that people are not touching on, and what's the right one for you.
Yep.
So
and I'm going to toss in one more tag with the control, right? Depending on how you're looking at the home, if it's your forever home, okay, take control galore. If it is not your forever home and you're saying, hey, I'll be here for 5 or 10 years, I'm looking to sell this property, control and moderation. You don't want to get in. If you're making modifications that will actually bring value to the home, absolutely go for it. But I would say going into a home, painting it 20 different colors, like hanging a lot of things and putting a lot of holes in the walls, those are things that you're typically going to have to neutralize and fix prior to selling. And what does that mean? Cha-ching, more money. Because now that's going to be money that you have to be out of upfront to kind of bring the home back to somewhat of a neutral state to make it more of a selling or more appealing from a selling perspective.
And trust me, we speak from experience on that one, y'all. We went through. I think as we round up pros, I think the last one, we've already touched on it, but just want to make sure it's a passion on this one. It's an investment. It's a long-term investment, y'all. And if you are looking to invest long-term, then, that's definitely a pro from a home ownership perspective because you will always have that. It will always be yours. The only downfall, as we kind of slide into cons soon, is that, it's just, it can go up and down. I mean, you just have to be ready for that. But when it's good, it's good. We've seen it both ways. So, yeah,
we have. So with the cons, right? And that's just some quick high level pros, but with the cons of home ownership, one of the first things that will always come to my mind is money. Money. Right. So if you're thinking about home ownership, you definitely want to start saving to have a nest egg. Like there are upfront costs that comes with home ownership. I'll let Zay talk about a few of those upfront costs. And then like even thinking about the elements that they're home purchase related, but they're not direct home purchase related. But I'll let you know more what I'm talking about in a second.
Yeah, I think Lance definitely. I think this is another piece. It's not only a con, but I think it's what makes people hesitate from home ownership is when Lance talks about for upfront costs. It's truly just the down payment, to be able to do the loan and just the money that they're looking for you to have on hand and ensure that you could afford the home. Them are all kind of like very key things that I would say that can really deter or really be a con. Sometimes you just don't want to have to push out, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 all at one time. I remember one of the homes that we purchased and the earnest money was $10,000 and they wanted it at the time of signing. So
what is earnest money?
The earnest money is and I'll tell you this, I only know it from, every state looks at earnest money different and they do it different. So I'm just going to give you from the one we have most experience in is in Georgia. So with, a home with earnest money, it's just money that you put down at the time of making an offer on a home. Normally it's not as big as, $10,000. Normally it's anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000 is kind of a normal dollar amount, but it is that money that you put down when you you are actually making your offer. It's included in your offer, and it's actually applied towards your towards the cost of the home when you go to closing. So it's not money you lose, but it is money that you can potentially lose if you don't follow all the guidelines in your contract or something happens within your contract. So I would just say whatever agent that you're working with, you want to make sure that you ask them specifically about earnest money and how it works if you're not clear about it, because they should be able to explain that to you.
Yep. And so, and again, like these are things that you should start thinking about before, months, even maybe a year or more prior to you making the decision to actually purchase a home. Because these, when you're looking for the home, and let's say you're not ready to actually shell out any money because you haven't closed yet, but like earnest money you have to have. And one thing to note with a loan, the banks, they want to make sure when you apply for a loan, wherever you're telling them that the money is coming from, that you have a track record of, hey, I pulled the earnest money out of here. Hey, this is kind of where I'm going to make my closing cost payments from. Those are going to be things that they're looking at in elements. So you want to make sure from a money perspective that you have a consistent bank account with a consistent balance that can
support what you've given.
Support the loan, and based on what they've said. So, or what they're telling you that you will need. So that is definitely one of the things that you need to think about, you need to prepare for, you need to save for coming up. Now, one of the things that I mentioned, right, we're talking about closing costs, we're talking about earnest money, but also the indirect costs. Okay, you purchase your new home, you got the keys, now what? Right?
Yep.
Like, it is really interesting how quickly all of the, how quickly all of the small expenses add up.
Yep.
We're talking towels. We're talking bathroom accessories. We're talking sofa, bed. If those are things that you're wanting, most of the time when people purchase a new home, they want new furniture, right? Like, those are heavy hitters, and they can quickly add up to tens and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I would even say, outside of those things, when you're purchasing a home, whether it's new or old, it's always going to be the what ifs, right? Mm-hmm. What if my air conditioning goes out? What if my roof leaks? What if the plumbing goes out? Those are all things that you are now going to be responsible for. And so if you've never been you've never been responsible for it, because if you've always rented and you've always had just picked up the phone and said, hey, this is broken, somebody's came fixed it, and it's never been an issue. This is going to be very, very different. I think I've talked about this on another episode. I think I talked about this somewhere, y'all. But there was 1 year that Lance and I had to replace 4 AC units for our properties, 4 all in the same year. I mean, we were devastated. But we got them done. But they are just things you have to ensure that you're planning for. And so I think that's definitely a con. Yeah. If you are not ready to be, to have that money on hand, or to be able to have the flexibility to get that money when needed, whether it's from a credit perspective or whatever it may be, you want to think about that, because you are now fully responsible for all of that.
What's a Lance-ism? Home warranty. I am that's your insurance plan, basically. Just like you pay insurance on your car. And I have a friend, or we have a friend, who's very much against a home warranty. Like, him and I go back and forth, like on a home warranty. In my mind, home warranty you'll still have to pay something, but you're not going to have to pay nearly as much as you would if it's covered in the home warranty. So, like, in the essence of like the AC units, where I'm just making up a random number here. Let's say without a home warranty, it may cost you $2,000. With a home warranty, if it's covered, you may only pay $125 for like the trade call fee, I think is what they call them. But for me, that is like automobile insurance on your vehicle. You got it. It's there to protect you if something happens. If nothing happens, then okay, you keep moving. But I would say always keep a home warranty. And and I think now they even offer, and we'll talk about it on another segment, but I think now they even offer warranties where you can just pay monthly versus having to shell out the money up front for the plan. So definitely think about that as you're moving into a home purchase, because that is an insurance that can help you in the time of need to stop you from having to push out so much money up front.
The only thing that I would say about that, y'all, is but definitely do your research.
Yes.
Do that they're not as all grand and good as that they sound to be sometimes. There's a lot of catches in some essence, so you want to make sure that you really vet the company that you're going to use to make sure it's going to work for you. So
and just know your contract and know your rights in terms of a home warranty, right? I mean, it's a warranty company, just like with anything with insurance. Like, you need to always do your research and understand like what you are within your rights to actually do in case of something comes up and it's like, oh, well, this is not covered. So.
Yep. Well, y'all, as we continue, the last two cons that I would say that we'll throw out there is one is going to be flexibility, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say flexibility, it's the flexibility to get up and my job just promoted me and now I'm going to be moving to Dallas, or you know what, something happened and something happened to my family and now I need to move back home. Mm-hmm. Those things, yes, you can always sell your home, but depending on the market, it might not always move as fast as you'd like it to move. So, that's another con of a home ownership, right? So you can't get up and go. It's not like breaking a lease and you're going to pay, $2,000, $2,500, $300,000, boom, you're out of it. It's like, no, that's not, you are there for the long haul, so until you get that home sold, or if you end up wanting to rent. And there's just so many different things but it doesn't have the flexibility that you are truly looking for, that some people are looking for in life. So I would say, that's one of the ones that I would definitely say, hey, be on thinking about. And then the last one we talked about earlier is, yes, houses appreciate, and majority of the time they do appreciate.
Yes.
But there are situations where houses depreciate. And I'm going to use a prime example. Lance and I, when we purchased our first home, it was right before the big crash. It was like a year or two before the big crash in the market, and where all the homes lost home values. Look at that time frame.
Insane home values.
Yes.
Too.
So, and that lasted for at least 2 or 3 years, Lance, if I remember correctly.
I actually think longer than that before they actually started to come back around.
Yeah. So, I mean, y'all, so another, again, we used it as a pro, but it's also a con because you can be in a situation where they call just like a car loan that's upside down. Sometimes you can be in a home that's upside down where you owe more money on your home than it's actually worth.
I think the pro just depends on your position in the market, right? If you're looking to invest and the home values have dropped, that's going to be a positive for you.
Yep.
However, if you own a home and you paid $200,000 for it and now it's only worth $50,000, you're negative $150,000. So even if you wanted to sell it, like, you're not going to make money off of it. You're going to owe money in order to pay off the mortgage.
Yep.
So it definitely is something to think about. But jumping into the cons of
No, we just.
Sorry.
Well, we're going to jump into
the pros of non-home ownership.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think it's the cabaret.
The pros to renting, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Renting, leasing, whatever they call it. But the one is that I think of, if you are not somewhat flexibility is what we'll call it. If you're not somewhat of a stable person and you like to see, let's say you move to a city and you want to see different areas, and hey, like, I want to live here in the city. I want to live in downtown for a little while. Oh, now I want to live in the suburbs. Oh, now I want to live in another area. Buying a home may not be for you. at that point in time. So renting may be the best option
Yep.
if you like to actually move around, because at that point, you're not tied down to a mortgage. You're just tied down to a lease. So once the lease ends or you break the lease, you can kind of pick your things up and move on to the next good thing, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest pro for renting is it's good for people that don't want to be in long-term commitments.
Mm-hmm. And you, like you said earlier, when it's time to fix something, you can just call somebody.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have that worry. You don't have that maintenance worry. You don't have that. You don't have the worry of actually having to go out and do yard work or doing anything.
Depending on if you cause the issue and what your actual lease or your contract states.
Yeah, it all depends. I've seen that there's a lot of renters out there now that are actually charging a fee if they see that you were actually the one that caused the issue, and they're actually looking for you to pay for it. So it depends.
And from another pro of renting is lower upfront cost.
Yep.
Although, like, some of the leasing and renting is, in this day and time, is actually getting a bit outrageous. It can be quite a bit expensive with what some of the apartment rentals or landlords or whomever, what they're asking for as far as the deposit goes. And even some of them are looking for this month's rent, and I think they want first month and second, like almost 2 months worth of rent in addition. So it's going to be typically be lower than the mortgage, but that's something to think about, and like where you don't have to shell out as much money. Yeah.
And I think, again, I think it's going to be the predictability for the time frame that you are renting. Like, if you got into a 12-month, 18-month lease and you agreed to, $2,000, for the next 18 months, that's what you're going to pay. Or 12 months, you're going to pay that $1,800. Did I say 18,000? I think. Did I say?
We got the
sorry,
gist,
y'all. But I mean, you just got to. You have that pleasure of knowing what you're going to pay, and it's not changing.
Yes.
Where that's not a true statement in homeownership, right? That is not a true statement, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people miss in homeownership. They don't think about is that payment that you actually get for your mortgage is going to change. I don't care what anyone says. And this is the one caution I'll throw out there, and I'm getting off book, y'all, but I'm really passionate about this one. But just because the bank approves you for a $300,000 home does not mean you can afford a $300,000 home. It means at that point in time, you can afford a $300,000 home. But as time progresses, that's going to change. And it's going to change because your insurance might end up going higher. Maybe you've had claims and your insurance is higher. Maybe it's just the area that you're in and your insurance goes up. Prime example is our home in Florida. Our insurance went up by $2,000 out of nowhere. And when I called to ask what was going on, it was because we're in Florida. And that's why we're in South Florida. South Florida is always prone to all of the hurricanes and different things that happen out there. So it's just the cost of doing business or the cost of living out there. It costed us there. And then it's going to be taxes. If you could buy into, let's just say you purchase into a transitional area or a brand new subdivision. Let's use a brand new subdivision. You just purchased into a brand new subdivision. So what happens from a tax perspective is they don't have a true number for that yet. They don't have a good understanding of that number. So it's going to take them a few years for that to go out so that they could have a really good understanding of how much your taxes are truly going to be, and it could really go up there. I mean, we're looking at, personally, in Georgia, we look at like $6,000, $6,000 or $7,000 we pay in property tax. So, I mean, it gets up there, y'all. So I apologize. I went off on my rant. I'm going to... I see Lance looking at me, but y'all, I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, but I'm wondering. We're talking about the pros of non-home ownership.
I don't know. How we ended back up on that topic. I'm sorry. I don't know. I apologize.
Okay, moving right along. One of the other pros of non-home ownership is like no maintenance responsibilities to a certain extent, right? Like air filters, different things of that sort in the like in the place that you're renting, you may need to change and do different things. And of course, you want to care for the home. Like you can't go into or apartment or whatever you're leasing. You can't go into the property being careless. Right. So like generally that maintenance cost, you're not going to have to be concerned about maybe like landscaping work. It may be covered. It may not. So you may be something that you have to consider if something happens to it. It's one of those things, hey, well, you can call someone to come and fix it. It's not something that you have to kind of shell out additional money for a home warranty, or to get it fixed, you may need to shell out something. Most of the time, like with appliances, if those go out or something of that sort, you call someone.
Yep.
So, but
no, I was going to say, I mean, and then now when you start thinking about the cons of renting, right? So,
hold on, like the pros
you have one more pro?
Is the predictable expenses, right? So rent is the fixed term. I know you hit on it earlier, but it was one on the list. And then you're not, and I think that's how you got off on your.
That's what got me on my rant. I'm telling you all.
Well, let's move on. Let's go on into
Don't
the
get me
cons
started
of
again.
Non-home ownership. Go ahead. You were about to talk about the cons of non-home ownership.
I think the cons of cons of renting are the things that we've already mentioned really before from the other cons of home ownership. The cons of renting is that the rental market is not predictable at this point in time, right? We've seen it, especially in Atlanta and South Florida, both of them. We've seen those rental prices. They're off the chain now. I mean, I have never seen rental prices, and I being in Atlanta for 24 years, I am floored.
24?
Yes, 24. Wow. I'm an ATL. But I've never seen the rental prices be so high. So, that's a con, right? You're in a situation where you're stuck. If you want to continue to live in Atlanta, you're going to pay that high rental cost if you are renting. So,
and like market is everything, right? And again, like this is where you kind of look at what's happening in the market and what's happening around you. Like Atlanta has experienced a lot of growth. A lot of people are moving to Atlanta.
Yep.
So, that's one of the things with that. Now, as far as like when you're leasing, and they do have some different, again, do your research, but they do have different programs out now to where if you're leasing, it's almost like what you put into the leasing can be applied to the home ownership for the property if you purchase it after you've been leasing or renting it. They're starting to do a lot of that. But essentially, like when you're leasing a property, all of the money, so if you're shelling out like $2,000, $3,000 a month for rent, like that's not going towards any equity for you. Like that is going to the complex or to the homeowner or the landlord in terms of that monthly payment. It's not building any equity for you. So it's kind of like, hey, I shelled out this money, but it's like money lost. Essentially, in terms of equity and building like some type of financial investment plan for yourself.
Absolutely. I would say, I know we've talked a lot about pros and cons of both, home ownership and renting, but ultimately, ultimately it's really sitting down and you understanding the decisions that you want to make and what's most important to you, right? In my mind, I think the first thing that pops into my mind for that one is finances. Yeah. Is this financially feasible for you right now? Does this make financial sense for you? So I would say finance would be the top one on my mind. What was the next one you're thinking of, Lance?
I'm always thinking in terms of like money and investments and things of that sort. So I would say the market conditions.
That's a good one.
Like I'm always looking to get in as low as possible and to be able to make money afterwards. So like if you're looking for a quick return or something of that sort, to be able to get in low and potentially make some money off of it.
Yeah, and then I would say it's going to be all about your lifestyle.
Yep.
What makes it most convenient for your current lifestyle and for your future lifestyle. I think they're a combination of both. You're living for the now, but you always have the future that you're going to have to look forward to. So you got to figure out which one's going to work for you in those situations.
Sorry, I was chewing a piece of ice. The other ones are your goals. I think that's one of the most important, right? Is like, what are your goals? What are you looking to achieve? What are you trying to do? And always look at it from a perspective of anywhere between 3 to 10 years.
Yeah. From
my perspective.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking to achieve in that 3 to 10 years when it comes to either leasing or home ownership? And like one of the things that I don't do is I don't get attached to any property. Like for me, for a good portion of them, they are investments. I'm looking to see, hey, how is this going to benefit us in the end game? Yeah. Are we going to be able to make money off of it, or are we in a position to where like, hey, like we just wasted money into this property? We're not going to make hardly anything off of it if we did decide to sell it. So always take those into account because you want to see where you're trying to go, because at the end of the day, if you own a home, that's going to be an impact to you. Yep. In the future.
Y'all, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I know that everyone's probably thinking, well, what are you two lean towards? And for us,
leave your comments.
Yeah, we lean towards home ownership. So home ownership has always worked the best for us. From our long-term goals, it was something that we always wanted to do to ensure that we had some good investments out there with homes. So just in case you want to know that's where we went to.
But it was always a conversation.
Yeah.
Continuous and endless conversations, which it should be, right? It's a very important purchase. So yeah, absolutely.
But like Lance was saying, y'all, we want to hear your comments. Please put your comments below. Tell us what you're currently doing. Tell us why you're doing it. And then definitely let us know how you like the content today. Let us know what you would like to hear next time. We already have the difference between homes, single family, condos, and townhomes that we're going to do something very, very soon. Yep. But please, we always say thank you so much for watching us. We truly appreciate it. Lance.
Yeah, please don't forget, please like, subscribe, and share the videos. And if there are questions that you have or topics like in relation to this that you're like, hey, can you just discuss this quickly and give me your thoughts on it? Just leave it in the comments and we'll touch on it. But as always, please continue to come in, have some conversations with us, and sip a little bit, and we'll continue unlinking these conversations one link at a time. So until next time,
y'all.
See you later.
Bye.